So finally, after a lot of work, we can finally sign into our account with our Meteor server and React Native app. So inside of email, I'm just going to put my email. Oops, I got to have it highlighted. Veer Scanlon at gmail.com. And then inside the password, I'll just put password. And before I hit submit, I just want to open up this Expo XDE so we can take a look at it. You'll notice in the comment here it says connected to DDP server. That just means, you know, that's coming from this right here. So the server URL for the Meteor Connect. If you never see that, that means like it didn't connect. But if you do see it, just know that your server, on your Meteor side is hooked up and running with your app. Okay. Back here, I'm just going to hit sign in, sign up, and luckily we had no errors at all. It was great. It said it printed out a unique ID, and then it said email. So if we look in here, we'll kind of see what's going on. So it printed out that unique ID, which I believe is coming from this console log meteor.userid right here. So this is our unique ID attached to our user account. Pretty cool. All we have to do is console log that anytime we want it, which can be useful, if we're building some complex Meteor applications down the road. If we want to get that user ID, it's there for us. So, we know that the user is signed in right now because we did get this user ID returned back to us. So that they're authenticated. I do want to add something in to this. Meteor right above this Meteor login with password, but still in that sign in box or the sign in function. I want to add an if statement that says if meteor.userid. So this function will run, and if the user's not signed in, it'll come back as null. But if they are, it's going to come back as a string, which means this if statement will be true and it'll run. And we just want to say, this dot, and we'll call a function that we haven't written yet called flip login. And this is basically just going to, make sure that we go from login screen to the map whenever we want to. So we'll make this function and we'll pass in a variable called true, and we'll just put this right above the sign-in function. Make this an ES6 arrow function real quick, and we can take x as the parameter. We could just keep programming this out. This video isn't too long yet. So the next thing we want to do is make our state. So we'll say state, and for the state we'll say logged in. And at all times we're going to initially assume that the user is not logged in, so we'll say false. And then inside this flip login we'll say this dot set state logged in is whatever x is equal to. So this way we can pass in, true if we want them, our state to know that they're logged in, or false if we want the state to think that they're not logged in, depending on what we're trying to get at. Now, right after this to do here, I said we'd come back to it. So what we're going to write in here is we're going to say this dot flip login, and in here we'll also pass true. So, let's say the app starts up and the user's waiting, just wants to get to the next screen or something, or actually, you know what? I didn't even think about this. We could do this a different way. We'll take care of that in another video, but this is basically here so that as soon as the user signs in properly, there's no error, they already have an account and everything, this will just send them to the next screen. We haven't written that yet, but we will in the next video here. I'm just going to save this, refresh the app, and see how it's looking, make sure everything's good. Looks good. So we'll start programming some of this stuff out in the next tutorial. I didn't even think about another possibility, which we'll talk about in the next video. See you then.